Welcome back to Joe Stunner Boxing. I was going to do I am doing an overview of the whole Conor Benn situation, as in going back to the start of it, following it through with every sort of signpost moment, right up to the present. And then G-Man, bless him, did a video which was not dissimilar. Shout out to G-Man, great channel. If you haven't subscribed to G-Man Boxing, you really should. It's fantastic. But I thought I'd do my video anyway, what the hell, because it is slightly different to what G-Man was saying, although we did kind of arrive at the same conclusion, which I'll get to later. So a couple of weeks ago, Boxing News, the trade paper, did a little breakdown of the situation. So I'm going to read a few things just to sort of give this whole farce a bit of structure so that we can follow it, because we've got to the point now where a lot of people are just throwing their hands up and saying, oh, I'm just sick to death of hearing about this. But yeah, but a lot of that is because they just can't follow the chain of events, and a big part of this is all this sort of issue fudging, mealy-mouthed nonsense that comes out of Eddie Hearn's mouth and a lot of other people's mouths, and it's basically they're trying to put spin on it, and they're trying to sort of not answer questions by being totally obscurantist about the whole thing. But let's break down a few events which are indisputable facts. Okay, let's just have a little chronological tiptoe through the tulips, although in this case the tulips are probably dog turds. But anyway, so on January the 19th, it was announced that Benn had been removed from the WBC rankings after failing to enroll in the sanctioning body's clean boxing program with the Voluntary Anti-Doping Association, which causes VADA. And on January the 24th, Benn stated his team had been instructed to begin the enrolment process. Okay, so didn't sign up. Then they want to enroll. Okay. He then stops Chris Van Heerden on April the 16th and was subsequently reinstated at number 5 in May. Shortly thereafter, talks about a potential domestic showdown with Chris Eubank Jr. are mentions. Okay. So there's an official announcement. It's expected on July the 19th, and then on the 28th, that was for the fight with Eubank. Or was it, hang on, due to ongoing discussions about it? Oh, no, actually, excuse me. On July, see, I'm getting confused just reading this. On July the 25th, as part of the WBC clean boxing program, Benn was tested by VADA, okay? And then on an unspecified date in August, Benn claims he started to work with Dr. Usman Sajid, a man known to have expertise in testosterone treatment, raised eyebrows, etc. On August the 9th, the contest between Eubank Jr. and Benn was confirmed. So it wasn't confirmed back in July. It was finally confirmed in August, and a lot of that was to do with the catch weight issue. There had a bit of debate going on, a bit of negotiation. And the catch weight, of course, was 157. Terms of the rehydration clause were not disclosed, at least not at that time. Moving on. At the end of August, Benn and his team were told that clomiphene, which I think is this estrogen blocker, was found in his system. So, yeah. So this was the random test that had been taken on July the 25th. So that was the first test he failed, July the 25th. And team at the time, Eubank had not, the bout with Eubank had not been confirmed at the time, okay, of testing. So Team Eubank were not involved in the results. So on July the 25th, Benn failed his first test, and Eubank's team were not notified because the fight hadn't been confirmed. Okay, but the board were informed. That's very important, July the 25th. When talking to journalist Matt Lawton and Wally Dowles on October 27th, Benn promised that the traces were so low there were no performance benefits. He thought it was a faulty test. He instructed his team to deal with it. He did not ask for the B sample to be tested. Okay. Did not ask for the B sample to be tested. That's kind of unusual, but all right. All right, so on September the 1st, Ben was tested again by VADA. On September the 23rd, the results of that test disclosed to Team Ben, Team Eubank and the British Border Boxing Control again proved that clomiphene was in Ben's system. On September the 29th, Ben invited members of the media to his gym. The next day, 1 week after both had been informed of the positive test, the rivals appeared together on Good Morning Britain. So they'd been informed and they're still doing the TV rounds. On the evening of October the 4th, the British Boxing Board of Control ruled that they would prohibit the fight. The relevant parties were informed the following morning before the Mail broke the news, the Daily Mail that is. And that was, they were talking about the second test, the failure of the second test. Of course, as we just said, there were two, but they were talking about the second test. That afternoon, after a dual statement from promoters Wasserman and Matchroom indicated the fight would go ahead in 3 days regardless, the open workouts were staged. The fighters wanted to fight. On the afternoon of October the 6th, after legal action against the board was considered, the promoters announced that the fight was cancelled. So they considered legal action against the board for cancelling the fight, but then they binned that idea. Okay. On October the 21st, Ben was due to appear at a British Boxing Board of Control hearing regarding the allegation of misconduct. He did not attend and relinquished his licence. The hearing, in which Ben was legally represented, ruled that the charge of misconduct would be upheld. That charge related to allegations that information from the first test had been withheld. All right. And Ben argued that it was a VADA test which falls under the jurisdiction of the WBC, not the British Boxing Board of Control. So that's one argument he had. In the meantime, promoters Eddie Hearn and Kalle Sauerland insisted, due to contractual reasons, they could not have pulled the event. Yet it's understood that the board themselves found themselves in a legal battle when attempting to uncover the evidence required to cancel the fight. And so that was a power struggle going on. Then between a governing body and the power struggle was between a governing body and those they're in place to govern. Okay, so then we've got WBC getting involved and the fighters and the board, and it's all getting very, very, very convoluted. Well, as if it wasn't already. So the fighter claims his innocence will be proven by a team of, quote, the best scientists. How the contamination is explained, particularly considering the length of the time between the two tests, is the crux of Ben's case. Yes, that's a good point. 2 tests failed, a fair bit of length between the two, and yet they're both positive. Look, if you could follow that, and I've done my best to sort of, show the timeline, if you like, then put it this way, I'm not setting homework, you'll be relieved to hear, because I don't think many of you, and myself included, having just read it, would be able to remember all that. But that's where we're at. Look, I mentioned earlier G-Man's video, and he and I are of the same opinion. Look, if this was a legal matter, I mean, if Ben had committed a crime, an actual crime, he would be arrested and he would be taken to court, because there is evidence that he acted incorrectly, illegally, if you like. So let's say there was evidence that he had burgled someone. I'm not saying he would, but let's say there's evidence that he burgled a house or beaten someone up, and there was evidence for it. He would then be arrested, and the prosecution would say, we're putting you in the dock, we have reason to believe you've acted illegally. Well, the evidence in this case is not 1, but 2 failed tests. 2. So whereas if you make an allegation against someone, the onus of proof is on you to prove it, whether, I mean, it doesn't necessarily need to be an allegation. It could be anything. It can be a scientific theory. It can be an act of faith. I believe this. I believe that. Or you make a statement. I mean, you all know my opinion on the conspiracy theorist mentality. If you make a statement, something outlandish, then you've got to prove it. The onus of proof is on you. However, if there is evidence that suggests you are in the wrong and you are put in the dock legally, you then have to prove your innocence. The onus of proof is on you, because the evidence is there. In this case, 2 failed tests. Now, Hearn and everyone else, as I mentioned, have done their absolute damnedest to say this is, oh, misunderstanding, or how did it get there, and blah, 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 blah. None of that matters. All this mealy-mouthed, multi-syllable, going around the houses and not really arriving anywhere, not really answering a specific question, none of this matters a single damn, because the defence's case is either it was an error. There's only several possible reasons. Either the test was faulty, which, what, 2 of them? I doubt it. Ben didn't know what was in his system, which is theoretically possible. He didn't know. Do I believe that? No. I think he probably would know. But, you know, we can't dismiss that without a bit of investigation. Perhaps it was his team that did it, in which case it's up to Ben to say, well, my team did this, my team did that. And also, let's not forget that Ben did not face the board. That was his opportunity to say, well, actually, yeah, I mean, I've obviously got it in my system, but I don't know how it got there. And maybe it got there through eggs, or I don't know, all this nonsense he's coming out with. And also to say, well, you know, I'm not in charge of my dieting. My dietitian is so-and-so, and he tells me what to eat and I eat it. Fighters are not chemists. They're not dietitians. They know a little bit about it in layman's terms. But they don't. The reason you hire a team is to look after you, and you cannot dismiss the responsibility of the team as well as the fighter. It's not good enough to say, well, the fighter, it's his or her responsibility to know what's going in their system. Yes, it is, but they're not dietitians. They're not chemists. So what do? They hire people, place their trust in people to do a proper job, to hopefully to avoid this sort of thing. Now, on the surface of it, it looks like they had the opposite view. We're going to give you illegal stuff, but we're going to try and mask it. That's what it looks like. The evidence is there, 2 failed tests. So it's up to Ben and his team to say, actually, yes, it was in the system, undeniably, but XYZ or ABC. These are the reasons for it. And then the WBC, the British Boxing Board of Control, everyone concerned will say, okay, we got a point now. Okay, now I understand what you're getting at. Okay. And then he would be exonerated. If there is a legitimate, provable reason why the stuff wasn't in his system, or was in his system. So to me, and I've nothing against Conor Benn whatsoever, don't know the kid, never met him, never liked to meet him, but the onus of proof is on you and your team to prove your innocence now. The evidence is there that you acted incorrectly. Okay? And that's, I think, where we're at. I think so. So what do you think? Leave your comments below. Let us know how you feel about it. Are you sick of the whole subject? To be honest, I am. But I thought I'd do this video anyway, just because, you know, I think with everything that's gone on, we need a breakdown of the timeline and I'm just giving my opinion of where I stand on this, you know. I think he cheated. I think he almost certainly knowingly cheated. I definitely think his team knew that he was cheating. Definitely. I don't see how they could not. And that's where we're at. But leave your comments below. As always, thank you for your time. Subscribe if you're new. Hit the like button if you're new. We will speak again sometime soon. Don't forget, I want to hear your views. Good stuff. Shout out again to G-Man, top channel. We'll speak again soon. Bye for now.